originally in Spanish, second part of 2022. Yazhi, people are asking why animals are seen walking in circles all over the world. Do you know anything about that?
That is because the cabal is probably conducting mind control exercises using technological means. They have been doing that for years. It is well known that they control large crowds of people, such as inside crowded stadiums. Brain frequency modulation is the name of this technology. It is already very advanced, and they don't need to experiment with animals. It must be that it entertains them to have the conspiracy theorists running around like animals. Maybe part of it is that they have to tell people everything one way or another. It's technology.
And do you know how those technologies work? How do they manage to interface with the minds of the creatures?
As with everything, it is frequencies. They already know what electromagnetic waves interfere with brain frequencies. It is not necessary to implant a whole idea or concept with synthetic telepathy, which they already have and use, especially with animals. It is enough to alter their spatial perception, or of one animal more susceptible than the others. And either they will also be affected, or they simply follow the current of the direction of the flow of the movement of the others. Clearly, it is a sensory spatial disturbance, and this is for us here a clear indication of technology use. I know there could be other theories, such as a magnetic vortex in the Earth's crust. For example, a magnetite deposit. But it is very unlikely, knowing how extensive the use of this mass manipulation technology already is. Other theories, such as disease, simply do not fit, or we do not see any sense in it, other than pushing more excuses to justify more pandemics. Convenient. I assure you, it's just technology. Manipulation of electromagnetic frequencies, similar to those of animal brains, remembering that this is also how the Illuminati, Masons, and similar secret societies call human beings normal citizens.
Yes, but they have to be doing it by being close to these animals, or how? And why don't the dogs that are nearby, for example, react? Do they only target certain species of animals with this technology?
Because, for example, cows will have their frequency, sheep theirs, and dogs theirs. And the humans, theirs or several, I imagine, right? It depends on what is inside each biosuit.
That's right. They have their own particular one, as well as of each particular species. However, there are also potent frequencies that, en bloc, affect several or all species, including humans. They are targeting that technology to the affected species specifically, as experiments, or to see the human reaction, or to tell them in some way, for karma, what they are already capable of. You also have to consider that a bird is electromagnetically more susceptible to interference of this kind than a dog. And you also have to look at the level of intelligence, will of each species.
Why are birds more vulnerable?
Because they contain within their brains complex guidance systems based on sensors that measure and follow the magnetic flux of the Earth's crust itself, in order to follow their migration patterns. This affects even non-migratory birds, like chickens, because they contain within their being biological mechanisms common to all birds.
So they can cut off those bird migrations?
Or cause mass human migrations. Mecca is not much different from what is happening with animals. Mind control and the need for each individual to feel part of a group by doing what others do.
The consciousness of the beings can't do anything against those frequencies? Because it seems as if they lose control of the signal. For example, you don't want to migrate, but something induces you to migrate. Where is your consciousness here?
Yes, it can, but they need the first step. Know that they are doing that to them. Try explaining it to the chicken. If the signal is strong enough, the being will need even more mental strength to counteract that. A breaking point will be reached. In itself, this obeys the same principles as the immersion pods. It is just frequency management imposed on the individual's brain.
In other words, you have to know what your thoughts are and not the induced ones.
With more sophisticated machines, it is possible to impose thoughts, and it is already done through the Gwen towers. Where is your awareness? It is buried in other thoughts induced by the stimulus of these invading frequencies. It is the same as with the entities that interfere with the thought of each person. It happens all the time, for good and for bad. If one has a clearly destructive recurring thought that the person doesn't want and recognizes that it bothers him, it is a clear sign of the presence of a being that wants to impose its will on that person to do something that suits the entity. Same principle and problem.
The same thing that happened with people buying toilet paper 2 years ago. It was the same thing. Experiments, probably.
Highly likely it was, yes. It lacks all logic, because in order to need toilet paper, they need to eat first, and they were not prioritizing food. Suspiciously, it seems more like mocking the preppers, using technological means of mind control.
But it is curious that the channelers know how to separate, or so they say, channeling from something of their own.
Yes, exactly. They do know how to separate it. It takes a lot of intuition to do it, but they do it. They even accept that the entity they are channeling may say things that, a priori, seem to go against the opinion of the channeler himself. However, for those two to be channeling, they must necessarily have the same interests and frequencies to be able to link mentally.
I sometimes felt Yazhi's messages that I knew were not mine, although they were totally fused with my thinking. That is, I did not notice it as something totally separate from me. However, I knew it was. But it felt more like a sudden, clear and precise inspiration, not something invasive. Just saying in passing.
Thank you, Gosha. I accept that sometimes I channel something above me. However, I dare say that most of the time it is my own opinions. Although, more broadly, we are all part of the same field. It makes no difference. Whether we exist as separate entities is only an illusion based on limits and ranges of perception. As such perception is limited, it could be said that our individuality is also based on the range of ignorance that each of us, all of us, have. Physical existence is only an illusion. It is a school for souls, atmas, katras.
Katras are souls?
Katra is the spiritual essence that defines a person, individual. That word is extraterrestrial.
In what culture do they say that?
Intraterrestrial Vulcan. Katra as a word was used for the first time in public in the Star Trek series of movies, referring to Spock's spiritual essence when he dies. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek III, The Voyage Home. It is an actual word used by many Federation civilizations. I said it was intraterrestrial because of the Vulcan Intraterrestrial Association with Vulcans from Star Trek. They use it. But the true provenance of said word could be of very off-Earth origin, given how widely it is used by Federation members.
Update.
In our opinion here, the most likely thing going on regarding the animals running around in circles is that it is all fake, and they have compiled previous videos and put them all together to make believe something is happening. We don't see transmissions or anything indicating mind control directly towards animals. Yes, towards populations and large groups of people, but not towards animals specifically. Conclusions from the onboard labs based on supersensitive electromagnetic sensors, both on the frontal sensor boom of this craft and 110 centimeter drones flying the skies above the Earth.